Hey, deep left fielders. Mike Wilner here in Dunedin, Florida on Thursday morning. Every once in a while, something like this will happen. We'll record a show, a great show, and then news will be made after we put it to bed. And that's what happened here in spring training, where morning comes early and the clubhouse opens at 7:45 every day. So I got to be there. And that means I'm asleep at midnight. And Wednesday night at about 1 o'clock in the morning, the news came down that the Blue Jays are bringing back Max Scherzer. He gets a $3 million guarantee with a chance to earn another $10 million in incentives. It's an interesting signing, to say the least, because it appears to give the Blue Jays 8 starting pitchers right now. They're set to open the season with a starting rotation of Kevin Gausman, Dylan Cease, Trey Savage, Jose Barrios, and Cody Ponce. Shane Bieber is waiting in the wings, a slow ramp-up to start his year, but as Ross Atkins told us earlier this month, the Blue Jays expect Bieber to be an important part of their entire season. Not quite sure how Ross got entire season, if he's going to start the year on the injured list, but whatever. They expect him to pitch a lot. And there's Eric Lauer as well, sitting there waiting for an opportunity, and now you add in Max Scherzer. Now, Scherzer is a wonderful guy to have around. He wants to be here. He could have sat out for a few months, done the Roger Clemens thing, come back mid-season to help a contender, but he's interested in being here now. Who knows if he'll be able to get ready to start the season? They're certainly not going to push it with him. You'll remember last year, Scherzer went back and forth with his injured thumb throughout the entire spring, wound up making the opening day roster, started the third game of the season, and came out after 3 innings, didn't pitch again until mid-season. He had a really nice 6-week run in July and August, but then his last 5 or 6 starts were terrible in the regular season. He gave up 25 runs over 25 innings, was not on the roster for the first round of the playoffs, but came back for the ALCS and World Series and was solid, if not a little bit better than that, in helping the Blue Jays get all the way to Game 7 of the World Series. Max Scherzer is back with the Blue Jays. We are going to get to our show that we put to bed in Lakeland last night, where you'll hear from 3 Jimenezes, Andres, Leo, and Eloy, and we'll open up the mailbag as well. But I wanted to put this little thing off the top to talk a little bit about Max Scherzer, and I wanted you to hear this because in the Jays clubhouse, I spoke to one of the faces of the Blue Jays, Myles Straw, about the Blue Jays bringing back the Hall of Famer. Myles, Max Scherzer was a big part of the Blue Jays thing last year, and now it's not official yet, but it appears as though he's coming back. How excited is this group about that?
Very excited. I mean, I woke up to the news. It was the first thing I saw on my phone this morning, and I'm thrilled. I mean, I knew there had been talks with him, which I was hoping they would come through with it, just for our sake. But it's official. It feels good, and we're excited. We love Max.
What did he do off the field for this team last year?
Yeah, I mean, he the dinners, the bonding. He's the vet of all vets. He makes sure the team's close, make sure we're doing the right things on and off the field, and he's a good leader. I mean, Hall of Famer, fun guy to be around, keeps the boys loose, and he's just a competitor. It's the guy you want to be around just in every aspect, and we're thrilled, man. It's good to have that guy back.
Yeah, and on the field as well, we got to see that fire in the playoffs also, but also we got to see the performance in the playoffs. This is someone who's not just here for the vibes.
Right. No, he's still got it in the tank, no doubt. I mean, 94, 95 last year, it's 96s. So, I mean, at the end of the day, whether he's throwing 86 or 96, he's going to compete. It looks like he competes harder than anyone else. So, he game plans really well. So he's going to help all of our young guys. We got a good group. We got Ghazi and we got some vets as well. But, he's going to help out Trey, I'm sure, a lot. And, some of those other young guys. So, It's it's like having another, very intelligent coach on the team as well. So he's a good sign for the team.
The old adage in baseball is you can never have too much pitching, right? But it sort of feels like maybe you guys have too much pitching now where people are going to have to fight for time in the starting rotation. I know that's above your pay grade, but what are the thoughts about that?
I mean, it's better to have too much than not enough. So, yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, it's going to make maybe, push some guys a little bit more. And, it's a good thing to have. I mean, we've all kind of been there before in this game. It's not an easy game to make a team. So, yeah, the more the merrier for us.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Yep, thank you.
That's Myles Straw. He's excited. Shane Bieber is excited. Everybody in that clubhouse is excited for the Blue Jays to bring back Max Scherzer. And do they have too much pitching? You can never have too much pitching. This is very Los Angeles Dodgers-y, where they collect as many pitchers as possible, hurt or otherwise. They'll all spend time on the injured list, and they hope they'll all be healthy for the playoffs. Now, the Dodgers making the playoffs is pretty much a fait accompli. The Blue Jays making the playoffs, not necessarily. They're going to have to battle to get back to the postseason, but they appear to have a lot of extra arms to do that battling with. Max Scherzer is coming back to the Blue Jays. And now, here's the full program that we put to bed in Lakeland last night. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Deep Left Field, the Toronto Stars baseball podcast, live from spring training. I'm Mike Wilner. It is episode 334, and I am recording this show here in the broadcast booth at Publix Field at Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland, Florida, where I just saw the Blue Jays play to a 4-4 tie with the Detroit Tigers. The Jays are 1-3-1 so far this spring. The Tigers, who are probably going to be very, very good again this season, are 0-3-2 so far this spring. Cody Ponce made his Blue Jays debut and threw one perfect inning. It started with an 11-pitch at bat against Parker Meadows, and that pretty much submarined any chance he was going to have of throwing a second inning. But he looked good. He threw 10 fastballs. He topped out at 96.7, had a good feel for reading swings along with Alejandro Kirk. It was a solid first step, but again, one inning, 3 batters, 22 pitches. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing so far this spring means anything as far as projecting what's going to happen with the Blue Jays in 2026. And they're about to lose a whole bunch of players. Over the next 3 days, the entire infield is going to leave for the World Baseball Classic. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. going to play for the Dominican, Ernie Clement for Team USA, Andres Gimenez for Team Venezuela, and Kazuma Okamoto for Team Japan. Leo Jimenez is leaving to play for Team Panama, and RJ Schreck and CJ Stubbs are leaving to play for Team Israel. So we're going to see a lot more of the kids get some run, and a guy who's a veteran trying to return to the major leagues in Eloy Jimenez. And in fact, this week in Deep Left Field, we are all Jimenez all the time. You're going to hear from Andres Jimenez, you're going to hear from Leo Jimenez, and you're going to hear from Eloy Jimenez. It's going to be a fun show for you down here in spring training. And there are a couple of things on a more somber note that I have to say before we get into the meat of the program. And first of all, I want to thank so many of you for your kindness, for your condolences. I mentioned last week on the program that I lost my Uncle Eddie now a week and a half ago. And the Jewish mourning ritual is a wonderful thing. And I wish more communities did it. When somebody dies, you sit Shiva for them for a week. Stay at home. People come and visit, bring food, sit around and talk. Only the immediate family has to do it. My aunt, my two cousins. But I was there and my kids were there every day last week. And it's just such a wonderful way to handle the death of someone very important to you. You get that week away from the world and among your family. And it was exceedingly hard for me on Sunday when they got up from Shiva and I left for Florida less than 6 hours after leaving the house. It was really tough. And it's really tough to be here and to be away from everybody immediately after the Shiva finishes. But I know that the family up there is taking care of everybody, and I'll be back before you know it. Like, this trip is almost halfway through already, and it feels like I just got here. So that's cast a pall, obviously, over spring training. And I have to tell you, like, this is my 26th spring training. And while down here, when you're in spring training, when you're covering spring training, you exist in baseball. Everything is normal. Everything feels the same as it always has. But there's an undercurrent. There's an undercurrent. Here in Lakeland, before the game today, everybody got up for the national anthem for O Canada. A lot of Blue Jays fans down here. Too many, if you ask me, given the climate of the day. But then you see everybody stand up for the Star Spangled Banner and put their hands over their hearts, some of them saluting the flag. And there are things I want to say about that and how that makes me feel. And for the first time in my life, I'm afraid to speak my mind while I'm here in the United States of America. And thanks to an accident of birth, I have an American passport. I'm a U.S. citizen. And I don't feel, either on social media or here on my own show, like I'm free to say what I want to say until I get home. But then once I get home, I have to come back to this country to work every once in a while. It is chilling. It feels awful. I don't like it one bit. And I encourage everyone who is listening to this, if you're planning to take a trip to spring training, don't. Just don't. Wait until things return to normal. If things ever return to normal. Wait until there aren't any more threats to Canada from this country. Don't contribute to the economy of the United States. I can't emphasize it enough. All the Canadian Blue Jays fans I see down here, I don't say anything, but my thought is, why are you here? I know it's baseball. I know it's wonderful. I know the Blue Jays just went to the World Series. This should be the time when Canada's embracing baseball like it hasn't in 30 years. Then you hear stories about people whose work visa expired and they get disappeared. It pains me greatly to say this. Don't come to spring training. Maybe next year. Anyway, now that the heavy stuff's out of the way, we can get to the baseball, and I'm very excited to bring you this All Jimenez show, even though it's not spelled the same for all three of them. But Andres, Leo, and Eloy joined me this week, and each of them has an interesting story to tell, right? Andres Jimenez is going to be the starting shortstop this season, with Bo Bichette having left as a free agent for the New York Mets. But Jimenez was going to be the shortstop anyway. John Schneider told us that they told Jimenez in November to prepare to be the shortstop, which doesn't mean that the Jays weren't interested in bringing Bo Bichette back. It just meant that they weren't interested in having Bo Bichette back as their shortstop. If Bo had returned to the Blue Jays, it was going to be as a second baseman. So for the first time since 2019, the Blue Jays are going to go into a season with a new starting shortstop. Can Jimenez do the job defensively? Absolutely. Can he do the job offensively? That's an open question. Last year, only 4 players in the major leagues had a lower OPS than Andres Jimenez among players who had as many plate appearances as he did. He got off to a great start. He set a Blue Jays record, or tied one, with 3 home runs in his first 5 games with the team. But then he cratered and hit just 173 over the course of the next 6 weeks. He was big in the ALCS. He had that huge game-tying home run in Game 3, the go-ahead home run in Game 4 in Seattle, when the Jays were down, remember, going to Seattle 2-0. But in the World Series, they went 4 for 27 with 11 strikeouts. He was an all-star in 2022, but that was his only good offensive season. He knows it, and we talked to him about that. Leo Jimenez comes here out of options, trying to become the Blue Jays' backup infielder. And if he doesn't, then he's going to have to go through waivers. He had a lost season last year. He came down with mononucleosis right at the end of spring training, and that was pretty much it for him. He only wound up in 18 major league games last year, and he went 2 for 29. A wonderful kid who's learning to play third base for the first time so he can really be that utility infielder that the Jays need behind Clement, Jimenez, and Okamoto. But he's only played 1 inning of third base in his entire professional career. He's leaving, too, to go play for Team Panama, who will play against Canada in their pool in Puerto Rico in the first round of the World Baseball Classic. And as has become the tradition here in Deep Left Field, every spring we have a Meet the New Guy segment every week. And there are a few new guys that we'll get to meet over the course of this spring. This week, it's Eloy Jimenez. And he's a really interesting story. I wrote about him in the Toronto Star on Tuesday. Go check that column out if you can at thestar.ca. This is a guy who in 2019 was one of the top prospects in all of baseball. It was Eloy Jimenez, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Fernando Tatis Jr. They were the big 3. And Jimenez went out and had a terrific rookie season, hit 31 homers, finished 4th in Rookie of the Year balloting, had a very good 2020, though it was shortened by COVID to 60 games. And then he just started getting hurt and hurt and hurt. And he couldn't stay on the field and he couldn't stay healthy. He had a good half season in 2022, I want to say, but just unable to stay healthy, unable to stay on the field, didn't even play in the major leagues last year. It was 2022 that he had that good half season, hit 295 with 16 homers and an 858 OPS in just 84 games. And here he is in Blue Jays camp, and he's healthy, and he's hitting. He went 2 for 3 today, Wednesday, in the game against the Tigers, which makes him 5 for 8 so far this spring. He's hitting .625. He's got an 1875 OPS. And just maybe a healthy Eloy Jimenez takes the place of Anthony Santander. Fills in that offense that the Jays thought they were going to get from Santander, but he's going to be out at least until August. It's so early in the spring and nothing matters, but Jimenez is going to get some serious run for the next couple of weeks with everybody gone at the World Baseball Classic. He's going to play some first. He's going to play some left. He's going to do some DHing. There might be something here. And I know, again, it's 8 at bats. But this isn't Gabe Gross. This isn't Simon Pond. This is someone who's got a legit track record in the major leagues, who has been a top 10 prospect, who has 3 times had an OPS over 800 in the big leagues, and who hit 45 home runs in his first 173 big league games. And he's only 29 years old. If he's healthy, maybe. But we've got another month to figure that out. And even after that, it'll still be every day that Eloy Jimenez is in the lineup. And sorry, it's Eloy Jimenez. I checked him with him today. Every day that he's in the lineup, it'll be, is he going to come out of this game in one piece? But there is real potential there. So it's a show of all Jimenez all the time. We will open up the mailbag as well at Deep Left Field at thestar.ca. Andres Gimenez will be the Blue Jays starting shortstop this year. He is still looking for his first hit of the spring. He's 0 for 6. He's walked once. He struck out once. And he can always be counted on to play some top shelf defense. He's going to lead things off on this episode of Deep Left Field. Here's my conversation with Andres Jimenez. Andres, I wanted to talk to you about coming into this season as the starting shortstop. I remember last year when we talked to you about it, you said it's not something you can just flip a switch and do, and then you had to flip a switch and do it in September, and it seemed to work out pretty well there. How tough was it, first of all, just to make that move right away?
Yeah, last year it was a little difficult at the beginning with the long throws and everything. I've been playing at second for the last 3 years, and the throws are a little bit different, but did it well, gained some confidence playing there. So I'm coming to this year with the confidence last year gave me playing shortstop. So nothing changed in the off season. I keep working the same way because I always prepare myself as a shortstop because it was going to be easy at second.
Is it a different spring? First of all, because of the World Baseball Classic, you got to get moving a lot quicker than normal.
Yeah, when it's WBC year, everything's a little preparation, gotta be a little bit faster, gotta have your body right, just to be healthy and play at the WBC and then be ready for the season. I feel like it's a special every 3 years represent your country, but at the same time, knowing the responsibility that you got to stay healthy for your team.
Is it different playing a new position and then also, having to go away for what you hope, I guess, will be 3 weeks, even though the whole infield is going away as well?
Yeah, it's completely different. But like I tell you, last year gave me some confidence. So I come into this year knowing that I'm able to play shortstop. So yeah, it's hard because I play second and I really enjoy my time there. But now I have to do the best for the team.
And the difference isn't just moving to the other side of the bag, right? The difference is that now you're in control of the infield. How much do you enjoy that responsibility?
I enjoy it a lot. I think I took the same responsibility at second. Now moving to shortstop is mainly the guy who lead the infield. So I know I have great infield around me. Okamoto has been doing a great job. Ernie, he's going to win a Gold Glove. And you got a Gold Glover of Vladdy. So I think we're pretty good and, just play the game.
You've played with Gold Glovers before at second base when you had Lindor at shortstop. So how much fun is it? You got 40 games in, I guess. How much fun is it playing with Ernie over there?
It's gonna be fun for sure. We play a couple times, and we also play a little bit in Cleveland when we were together over there. So it's gonna be fun. He's able to make difficult plays, and it's gonna be fun to turn double plays with him. And I think he's gonna win a Gold Gloves somewhere close.
Yeah, some of us thought he might win 2 last year. He was nominated for a couple. You both can really play the game. Tell me a little bit. It's only been 2 weeks and a couple of games. Well, what have you seen from Okamoto besides you?
Obviously, great discipline. He's a great guy. Obviously, trying to learn a little bit with Japanese just to be able to talk to him and know him a little bit. But he's been doing great. I think he adapts really well to what we do as an offense and as a defense, as a team. And yeah, a lot of discipline for sure.
You've had the chance to hit at the top of the order the first couple of games. John Schneider's trying to get everybody at bats before they go to the WBC. What are you hoping for from your offense this season?
Obviously, do better. To be honest with you, I'm not happy with what I did last year. Obviously, try to get better this year offensively all around and try to stay
I'm having a really good conversation with the hitting coach. They do a pretty good job having us prepare for the game, and that's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm gonna try to do this year.
You got off to a terrific start that first week of the season last year, and then you hit a couple of big home runs in the playoffs. So, how much does that help you when you look back? You think, okay, this is what I was doing then, and that's what I can move into for 6 months.
Yeah, to be honest, I know what I can do on the field. It just sometimes doesn't work out. The body's not reacting the same way. The mind is not where it needs to be, you know. But at the same time, we were winning games, so that's what mattered at the end, right? And then coming into the playoff with a chance to help the team, and get some RBIs and play the game to win. I like that kind of style, and just give me some motivation to keep going, and everything plays really well.
And it's a lot easier to hit when you got two strong legs underneath you, know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get health. I feel healthy now on my ankle, but for people who get a high ankle sprain before, people know that takes a while to heal. So now I'm feeling healthy about my ankle, and let's keep working and see what happens.
Yeah, you're a guy who usually shows up to play 140, 150 times a year. So last year must have been difficult that way.
Yeah, it was difficult because I get 100 at bat, got hurt my leg. Then I get another extra 100 at bat, got hurt again, and 7 weeks out, and then coming back, feeling something still there, and get another 100 at bats again, major league pitching. It's not excuses. I don't like that, but that's something that I have to improve, updating my offensive game, and I have that in mind.
So feeling healthy now, are you going to test it? Have you been testing it? And do you think that if it stays this way, you're going to be the same sort of threat on the bases that you have been in the past? Because I remember how much you were looking forward to talking about stealing 20, 30, 40 bases last year.
Yeah, that's something that I always had in mind, obviously, because that's one way that I can help the team. And if I'm feeling healthy, I think that's the number that I have to go through, right? That's my goal. So let's see.
That'd be tremendous. I have to ask you about last year and the run in the playoffs and how special it was. You know, we've all had a few months to look back on it, and some of the disappointment has faded away and become such excitement about what you guys actually accomplished. What was it like for you being in it?
It was special. To be honest, I really enjoy it. The whole postseason, it was great because everyone contributed at some point. You know, guys that were not playing, they come into the game, they did something great. So I think I was happy about that because we did everything that's under our control. We played great. We played an excellent postseason baseball. At the end of the day, we didn't get the result that we want, but I think we are in the right track to be consistent. And, I think make us as a team believe that we can be there one more time and get it done.
And doing it, getting there is the first step to really believing in it. And the team, the players, the closeness of that group last year, like you got called the Glue Jays because everyone was so close. After Game 7, Chris Bassett stood in the clubhouse and said, how can you replicate true love? Like, how can you have that feeling in the clubhouse again? What can you do to try to make it feel that way?
Yeah, it's something about the game. It's hard to have the same clubhouse year after year. So I think we're still close. I think we're really close as a team clubhouse. And, the new guys coming into the clubhouse, just try to integrate them to the group and, let's see.
Yeah, there's only one way to find out, right?
Yeah, it's only one way to find out. And we need to wait for the season. But so far, we're still close.
All right, Andres, thanks for this. Good luck in the season. Good luck at the WBC unless you play Canada. And we're looking forward to another good year.
Thank you. And for Canada, we know we have to get the World Series for Canada and for the city of Toronto.
That's Andres Jimenez, and it should be noted that his team, Venezuela, can't play Canada in the World Baseball Classic until the semifinals if both teams get there. Canada's in Pool A playing in San Juan, Puerto Rico with Puerto Rico, Panama, Leo Jimenez's team, Cuba, and Colombia. Venezuela is in Pool D. They will play in Miami. And in that pool is also the Dominican Republic, Israel, the Netherlands, and Nicaragua. Top two teams in every pool advance to the quarterfinals, but the quarterfinals are Pool A against Pool B and Pool C against Pool D. So if Canada plays Venezuela, it will either be in the semis or the finals of the World Baseball Classic. And we're just hoping Canada gets out of the first round for the first time in our country's history. And we are hopeful that this time they're going to make it happen. It's good that Andres Jimenez, even though he's playing for Venezuela, still wants to win his club championship with the Toronto Blue Jays for Canada. We will step away, and when we come back, two more Jimenezes as this special all Jimenez edition of Deep Left Field from spring training in Florida continues. You're in Deep Left Field. I'm Mike Wilner. Thank you so much for joining us. We are down here in the heart of baseball in spring training, and the season is just about a month away. So please make sure you tell everybody you know about this little podcast and subscribe to it or favorite it if you haven't already. And in order to drive the algorithm and to get us into as many ears as possible, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And you can always contribute to the program. The mailbag is always open at Deep Left Field at thestar.ca. The Blue Jays roster is pretty much set, but there are still a couple of pieces here and there that aren't complete yet. One of them is the utility infield, and that's Leo Jimenez's job to lose. Jimenez is 24 years old, and we saw him in 2024 doing a really good job. He played almost every day for a few weeks there. He wound up playing 63 games in that lost season, hit left-handers well with an 819 OPS, and played really good defense at second and short. Last year was a lost season, and now he's here out of options. So if he doesn't make the team, that means he's got to go through waivers, and any other team in the major leagues can pick him up. The Blue Jays do not especially want to lose him. They picked up Ben Cowles on waivers last week, who is also a utility infielder, but one of the reasons they picked him up was because he still has options left. So it's not a Cowles versus Leo sort of thing. It's a big spring for Leo Jimenez at 24 years old, trying to rebound after a terrible 2025 and make this team and contribute to the Blue Jays like he did back in 2024. And I talked to him before Wednesday's game in the dugout here in Lakeland. Leo, first of all, thank you for being part of our All Jimenez show. We got Andres and Eloy too this week. It's a big spring for you after, kind of a lost year last year. How has it been so far these first couple weeks?
Oh man, it's been great so far. Just very focused this year. As you said, 2025 didn't go the way that I was expecting. That I had a plan. A lot of stuff going on during the year, but then 2026 we kind of just leave those stuff in the past and just focus in this year, which is a big year for me. So just coming every single day to the ballpark. Working in things that I can get better at and just keep going.
I know we want to leave 2025 in the past, but I want to ask you just about, at the beginning of the spring you get sick, right? When you got mono, it's different, I think, when you're hurt, right? Because you did something, you get hurt, but when you get sick, that's got to be an extra level of frustrating.
Yeah, it's especially, when, like you said, when it happened, it was basically the end of spring training. And it was kind of very, like a bad time for me, just, like you said, not being able to start my season and basically, the start of a rough year, if I can say. So, like I said, stuff that happened, can't control, but, at the end of the day, we're here now, and that's the only thing that I can focus on and just keep going.
And you're here with a tremendous infield here and the chance to be that little everyman backup. We've seen you more at shortstop in the major leagues, a little bit of second base. They're using you at third now, too. How have you felt as far as being comfortable at all these spots over the infield?
I mean, at the end of the day, anything that can help the team, I'm the player that I just like to win, so if the team needs me everywhere, I'm going to be there for them. But yeah, like you said, this year it's I'm in a spot that I need to be available in every single position on the infield. So yeah, I'm actually working every single day, with Carlo Fables about that, talking about, positioning and kind of how, third base is new for me, but, still got to be able to play it. So yeah, it's actually that's what spring training is for. Just making sure that we're touching every single detail, and then carry that to the season. But like I said, just coming here and keep doing and keep working on my defense, which is part of my game, and just keep improving every single day.
The difference, I think, from the outside observer at third base is you don't have a lot of time, right? It's all about feet and go, where in the middle infield, you can show your range a little bit more. So what's it been like working out of third?
It's been new for me. Basically, I can count a handful of times throughout my whole career that I played third base. So yeah, it's nice to have those reps of third and be able to just move a little bit and kind of see how the position works. Of course, I have a lot of respect for those guys that play third base at the big league level. But actually, at the end of the day, it's a good opportunity for me. Being able to play another position in the infield, and that can open up a lot of opportunity for me too.
Yeah, absolutely, it can. I want to take you back to 2024 when you were up here for a few months and made a good showing of yourself, played well defensively, hit lefties really, really well. Did that kind of show you, hey, I can do this?
Yeah. Basically, first time in the big leagues, I had a kind of like a knowledge. I kind of knew that you have roles, and basically, whenever I was done with my year in 2024, I got some conversations with people, in the org and also outside, and kind of told me, hey, this is kind of the role that you're gonna have. Basically face lefties sometimes, and I mean most of the time facing lefties, and then just play your defense. Now, looking back, it's like, okay, yeah, it's something that I can handle, but of course, you want to be able to also be available and not just focusing on that. I mean, that's the strength that I have to have at the end of the day, but just focusing in my all-around game, which is very important, especially if I'm actually working towards making the team this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everyone is invested in you making the team this year and being the backup to Ernie Clement and Andres Jimenez and Kazuma Okamoto. It's an incredible infield, right? And I've said before, the Blue Jays have the best up the middle defense in the major leagues, from Kirky to Varsho, with Clement and Jimenez in between. What's it like to be a part of that?
It's awesome, being able to play with Ernie, with Andres, now Cass, seeing him taking ground balls. We very glad and for being part of this, tremendous defense that we have, and also work with them every single day and, kind of learn as much as I can from them. And of course, it makes me happy that being part of this team and making sure that I'm, touching every single detail that I have with them and learn as much as I can so I can go out there and perform. Actually makes me happy that I'm in the spot that, I can back up some of those big guys, Ernie Clement and Andres Gimenez. Everybody knows who they are and how well they'll play their defense. So being able to, if any situation of the game, be like, okay, now you're back, you're backing them up. It's like it make me feel in a really good spot.
You're backing them up here in the major leagues, but in the World Baseball Classic, you're leaving to play for Panama. You're going to be a starter. What's your role going to be there for them? Are you the shortstop?
I'm not sure. It's primarily going to be second base. That's what I've been told so far. And as far as now, a week before World Baseball Classic. But at the end of the day, I told, we had conversations with our team Panama manager, and, he said, if any situation that we need you in the game, that you can come to shortstop. I'm like, hey, that's my position. That's what I know how to play my whole life. So, at the end of the day, another part of me, having that knowledge of being able to just play everywhere and any situation.
How exciting is it, first of all, to be able to play at a competition at that high a level in spring training and to be able to play with your country across your chest?
It's awesome. I know a lot of the guys are going there too, but for me personally, I can say that I'm really excited to play for my country, and also, making sure that I'm here in spring training, focusing on my team, on the Blue Jays, and, doing everything that I can in my power to just being as consistent as I can in the World Baseball Classic, and also, here with the team. So I think that's primarily what I'm trying to look for, just being as consistent as I can. And then, coming back from the WBC, just coming back into the org, just trying to keep that work in. And, that's what basically what I'm trying to do, being the same player here, there. So that's something that I'm really focusing on.
And it's better for you, well, I mean, it's not necessarily better for you to be away from the Jays, but it's better for you to go and get at least 6 games where you're playing all the time and it's a really high competition.
You're right. You're right. Like you said, it's gonna be a time that I'm gonna basically be out there every single day in a great stage. It's a great stage of baseball right now, and so really excited for what's coming, and just going out there and having fun.
I was talking to Henry Clement a couple of weeks ago, and he's playing on Team USA, and he said, we're not in the same group as Canada, so I don't have to worry. You're going to play against Canada, and you got the maple leaf on your chest right now with your hat. What's that going to be like?
I mean, it's gonna be awesome. We got some players. I think Adam Macko is gonna play there, so already have some conversation with him. Hey, if you face each other, it just stays there. We're not gonna, just break a relationship because of it. So we're still friends and everything. We're still teammates. But at the end of the day, when we're out there between those lines and we're playing against each other, we're gonna give everything we can, so we can beat each other.
We still don't like Team Italy because they've beaten Canada twice at the WBC, and the Venezuelans got us two back at home. Actually, I don't even think we made it to Venezuela, but you're getting ready to be an enemy of Canada if Panama can pull this off.
You're right. You're right. I wouldn't call it an enemy. At the end of the day, this country has gave me so much, just being able to be part of the Toronto Blue Jays organization. But, at the end of the day, like I said, we're out there playing against each other. So anything can happen. But, I have them in my heart. I love Canada. So, but at the end of the day, when I'm playing against them, we're rivals.
That's the way it should be. We don't want anything but everybody's best against us. Really, good luck in the WBC. Have a wonderful spring, Leo. It's always great to catch up with you, and we're looking forward to seeing a lot more of you in the big leagues this year.
For sure. Thank you so much. Actually, thank you.
That's Leo Jimenez, just a wonderful kid, and he is going off to training camp in Tampa for Team Panama. They're going to play a couple of exhibition games before the tournament starts. Team Canada is going to train in Dunedin, and they'll play an exhibition game against the Jays on March 3rd and against the Phillies on March 4th before the tournament starts. Canada will play against Leo Jimenez Team Panama on Sunday, March 8th in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Eloy Jimenez would have been a lock for Team Dominican Republic had he been able to stay healthy the past few years, but his body has gotten in his way so often since 2020. Not quite 5 lost years, but they certainly took away from what could have been an incredible major league career. Again, this was one of the top prospects in the game in 2018 and 2019. His name mentioned right there with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Fernando Tatis Jr. He's here in Blue Jays camp. He's off to a terrific start, and he is the subject of our Meet the New Guy conversation this week. I spoke to Eloy Jimenez. Eloy, people excited to see you here healthy in Blue Jays camp, and it feels like that's the thing that's been the issue for you the last couple of years. First of all, how do you feel now?
I feel good. Feel really excited for the opportunity here. And, back to me, back to have confidence and all that. And feels good. I'm ready.
Over the last couple of years that have been rough, where, you've been bouncing up and down and trying to get back to you again. First of all, what was it like to go through that as a guy who hit 30 homers in his rookie season in the major leagues?
It's tough because after my first year, my first 2 years, I was like, oh, this is the big leagues, and I tried to do my best. But with all the injuries that I had, it was hard to do it and to deal with that too mentally. But, I'm just thanks God for giving me the opportunity to pass that process. And I'm just here now and excited.
What did you learn, you think, from working your way back from these injuries?
A lot of things. Preparation, be better human being, because in the down, that's when you know you need to be better. Because when you at the top, realize things that you do unconsciously. And I just think, once again, thanks God for giving me the opportunity and to be a better person, better player too.
You got a little taste of the Blue Jays organization last year, and you decided to come back on the minor league deal. What was it about this place that made you want to give it a shot here?
the treatment that they do with me last year is good. I feel pretty much at home, and I just had 3 weeks, and that made me feel special. How they treat me here. I said, why not? They give me the opportunity to go back and show what I can do, and I'm here now.
And you come back in your first game at spring training, you have one home run and you could have hit another. That double has gone in a lot of other ballparks. That's got to make you feel good right away.
Oh, yeah. I've been working for that. I'm just going to keep going, try to do my best. I know every game is going to be like that, but I'm going to try to do it.
Is it nice when you came up in 2019, people were talking about these three great young kids, you, Vladdy, and Fernando Tatis Jr., to be here in the clubhouse with Vladdy? Is that nice for you?
You know, we were talking about the other day about that. We played in the Futures game in 2016, and now we are together. It's just crazy.
10 years later, it's great. What do you think a healthy Eloy Jimenez can do in a full year in the major leagues?
I showed it in 2019 when it was my season, 2020, 2022, 2023, when I was like playing every day. I'm just going to say I'm a good player. I got my thing. I built.
Just how much of a difference will it be if you wind up playing, if you get to the big leagues at some point this year, to be on a team that's the goal is to win the whole thing, as opposed to, those White Sox teams that you were on that were sort of like kind of muddling through the 162 games, to be on a team where there's a goal, and that goal is to win?
Well, we have the same goal when I was in the White Sox system. Here, I'm just going to try to do my best to have the team in any way that I can be, and any way that I can.
All right, well, so far so good. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
That's Eloy Jimenez. Well, I was still calling him Eloy before I found out how to properly pronounce his name, which I probably should have done before we started that interview. And it's nice that he said all the right things about the White Sox organization, but the truth is, outside of one season, the Sox pretty much stunk the whole time he was there. And if he's healthy and on a team that's actually trying to win, again, maybe there's something there. And I think this isn't wish casting like it would be with some out of nowhere kid who's only played 2 games above A-ball. This guy, when he's healthy, has been a legit big-time hitter in the major leagues. We'll take one more break and we'll come back with the mailbag. It's Deep Left Field live from spring training. Thank you so much for joining us. And as you can hear, the noise in the background, and this reminds me of the Jays Talk days when the leaf blowers were all out through the stadium during the show and you could hear them cleaning up the garbage. That's what's happening right now as I record this at Publix Field at Joker Marchant Stadium here in Lakeland, Florida, following the Jays' 4-4 tie with the Detroit Tigers on Wednesday. The mailbag is always open, and I encourage your thoughts, your opinions, your questions. Kind of makes me feel like I did back in those Jays Talk days, having that interactions with you. You can always hit me up at deepleftfield@thestar.ca. And like I said off the top of the show, I appreciate so much all of your condolences, all of your well wishes, all of your commiserating over the death of my uncle. And I was saying last week that where you are in the family doesn't always give as much weight to what the relationship was with the person that you lost. My kids tell people their great uncle passed away. And you think, okay, old guy, great uncle that you barely knew, but this was their grandfather. I was closer to my uncle, orders of magnitude closer than I was to my own father. And I appreciate all of your condolences for what was a huge loss for my entire family, extended and otherwise. But I'm not going to read your condolences in the mailbag segment because you're going to make me cry, but you're all so lovely and so nice. And I thank you. I will just skip the condolences part of some of these emails. But let's get to it. Daniel, who wrote in about an hour too late to get on the show last week, said, thanks again for taking my call. I hope you didn't have to venture outside too much today. That would have been February 18th when we got that brutal ice storm up there in Toronto. By the way, it's lovely here. Today, Wednesday, was a perfect day, about 20 degrees. It's going to be hot the rest of my time down here. But if it's any consolation, yesterday, February 24th, when I woke up at my hotel in Clearwater, it was 4 degrees. And it didn't get up over 12 the whole day. I know. But anyway, Daniel continues by saying, every season brings a handful of spring training storylines that by the end of the year make us laugh and say, I can't believe we were debating that. Can Alan Roden make a meaningful contribution? Should Gosuke Kato break camp with the team? Is Gabe Gross about to become the next Babe Ruth? When we look back at the 2026 Blue Jays, which storyline that we're talking about right now do you think will feel like a distant memory? It might be Eloy Jimenez. It certainly could, and odds are better that it will be than it won't. But again, he's got a much better track record than all of those guys. I still think Alan Roden's going to have a long and successful major league career just with the Minnesota Twins. And coming off a hand injury, it's going to be tough for him to have a good year this year. But I think top of the list, is Eloy Jimenez. But also, I do think, and I try not to get into it, and it feels like there's been less of it now than there has in the past, but all of the projection about who's going to make the roster on opening day, what's the opening day roster going to look like, who are the 26 they're going to go north with, it changes after 3 days. And it's such a fluid thing. And the Blue Jays are going to use maybe 50 players over the course of the season. Doesn't matter who the first 26 are. Phil in Hamilton says, I particularly want to thank you for the many podcasts I've enjoyed with you over the past 2 years. The nostalgia piece with Alan Ashby was great and brought me back to Exhibition Stadium, as I was a season ticket holder for about 25 years with 3 other guys, so I had lots of memories to enjoy, and your show made my day. I sat in the high section above home plate in the second row. That season, Dick Allen of the White Sox hit a foul ball and struck my wife in the ribs, so that was a moment. But I got an MLB ball as a souvenir. I'm looking forward to a lot of good baseball, and your podcast will be sure to add more memories this season. I do a lot of podcasts, and yours is certainly one of the very best. Thank you. Phil goes on to say, I visited the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame in St. Mary's a few years ago and was struck that they cannot find a major corporate sponsor to add money and a bigger space to house the plethora of memorabilia. Even if you, the retired and perhaps wealthier players, could get together, form a trust, and look for a better building and upscale dedication to this very important project. There are, as I'm sure you know, given your personal dedication to their board of directors, many hardworking volunteers ready and willing to support our Canadian Hall of Fame. My parents owned an RV and parked it on a lake just north of Dunedin for years. One year, Mrs. Pat Henkin was a resident. I guess it was early in their marriage, and Pat was a rookie. I remember it well, and Pat would be another treat as a guest on your broadcast. In those days, the team would host a night on the beach near St. Pete's, and somehow I was invited there for food and drinks. Guys like Tom Henke and George Bell were there with Jerry Howarth, so it was a big night. Lots of autographs and pictures. I don't know, but they probably don't do that anymore. Yeah, they don't do that anymore, Phil, but those were the days. I appreciate it. Tim from New Hampshire says, hi, I've got a couple of newbie to baseball questions. I'm curious if, as a broadcaster, the broadcaster will approach it differently if their broadcast is primarily for television versus radio. I'm also curious if the on-field microphones are ever shared with the away team's broadcast, or if that's reserved to just a single broadcast for the home team. My other question is, I noticed the Red Sox have replicated their green monster in Florida and have since learned for all of the minor league stadiums. Do you know of any other teams that have replicated features of their major league ballpark for their minor league ballparks? Thanks. Keep up the great work and enjoy the warmer weather down in Dunedin. Tim, thank you. And yeah, calling a game on television is completely different from calling a game on radio. Obviously, there are no pictures on the radio. There's no score bug on the radio. You have to mention every single thing that happens, painting a picture for the listener. On television, you have pictures. And you can let those pictures do the talking. You don't need to update the score as much. You don't need to do a lot of things calling a game on TV. And that's why when Sportsnet tried to simulcast games in 2021 using the TV call for the radio, it was absolutely awful. You hear Buck and Tabby saying, look at that, and not giving the count, not calling each pitch because you don't have to on TV. You absolutely have to on the radio. And if memory serves, we always got the on-field mic and the crowd mic wherever we were, whether it was in Toronto or not. And the New York Yankees, the Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, the dimensions where the Tampa Bay Rays played last year, an exact replica, dimension-wise, of Yankee Stadium up in New York. Jeff in Tottenham says, Mike, the interview you did with Alan Ashby was so enjoyable. It was so great to hear many of his memories when he was with the Jays in the 70s. I'm in my 70s, so I remember the Jays teams from 1977 and on. Jeff, thank you so much. Glad you appreciate it. I always love talking to Alan Ashby. Steve in Hudson's Hope says, hi, Mike. I was just about to write and ask you to check on Eloy Jimenez while you're in Florida when I found your article in the Star just before I wrote. I've thought about him and his potential since his first big year and the COVID year, following each year to see if the injuries are finished. I put him on my fantasy team in 2020. Then, of course, I had to remove him in 2021 when all the injury problems started. I know it's early and an incredibly small sample, but wow, has he really hit the ball hard so far. The outfield is really crowded right now, but I noted that you said he had a real chance to force the issue and get back to the bigs with the Blue Jays. So let's say he's really great this spring. Do you think he can break with the club, or is this a later call-up? Quite a logjam for playing time if this happens, so that would seem to me to require a trade or trades, and I'm wondering who and when. Thanks, Steve. And yeah, it's not going to be that easy. There was a spot until the Jays traded for Jesus Sanchez. Now, Jesus Sanchez has that spot. Nathan Lucas seems kind of to be out of a job. There's a spot as well. It's not going to be easy to fit Jimenez in, but he could force his way into the picture. Will it be on opening day? I don't know. Like I just said, it doesn't matter. But with Jimenez on a minor league deal, they can certainly defer the decision and have him start in Buffalo, see if he keeps hitting, see if he stays healthy. We shall see. Terry says, great show with Ashby. So fond of his time in the booth and good conversation with Gregor. I really do wonder what the front office really thinks about Sanchez, Lucas, and Lauer. I think we'll regret trading Lauer if that's what it comes to. I'm wondering why he wasn't utilized more during the postseason. Any intel on that? You may recall that my coping strategy post-World Series was focusing on baseball and my trip to spring training. Now, as you are there, I hope it's okay to come find you and say hello. Sure, Terry. Come say hello since you're here. I don't think the Blue Jays are planning on trading Eric Lauer. And the reason he wasn't used more in the postseason is because it's tough to find a spot for a long reliever in the postseason, unfortunately. I don't know that anything would have gone differently had they used Eric Lauer more. They were 2 outs away from winning the World Series. Chris says spring training is the time for navel-gazing and deep dives into the 26-man roster. Do you foresee at least a part-time platoon partner for Ernie Clement, given his .622 OPS against right-handed pitchers last year? The catch is none of the most obvious internal options of Leo Jimenez, Ben Cowles, and Josh Kasevich seem like a good fit, giving all of them have poor splits against righties. Do you expect the Jays to bank on one of them improving, to look outside the organization before the start of the season, or to simply accept Ernie's hitting issues because of the plus defense? Chris, Ernie Clement's the everyday second baseman. I think if you're looking for a platoon partner for somebody, it's Andres Jimenez, with Clement sliding over to shortstop against left-handed pitching, and Davis Schneider or Leo Jimenez playing second base. But Ernie Clement's going to get a lot of run as the everyday second baseman. If he struggles against right-handed pitching the way he did last year, maybe the defense is good enough to overcome it. Maybe he picks his spots to get hits at the right times. But I've said this before. I believe the 2026 Blue Jays are going to look a lot like the 2023 Blue Jays. This is going to be a pitching and defense team. It's very hard to believe they score as many runs as they did last year. Theo in London says, this is such an exciting part of any baseball season. Thanks for the work from home and Dunedin. 2 short questions. 1, how will the ABS challenge work with a catcher's appeal on a swing? Can he do both, and would order matter? A check swing is often a borderline pitch. 2, do opposing managers discuss the lineup before spring training game? Seeing a AAA pitcher against a AAA batting order doesn't add clarity to the roster decision process. Looking forward to an exciting season of Blue Jays baseball and the weekly or more drops of Deep Left Field. Thank you, Theo. I appreciate it. And first of all, I think that the concept of using spring training to really make roster decisions is just not the case. The Jays know who 25 of their 26 players are going to be given health. So a AAA pitcher against AAA lineup, you're not allowing them to show you what they can do against better competition, but often the major league guys are just working on stuff anyway. So, no, I don't believe opposing managers discuss their lineups with each other the day before a spring training game. And spring training performance for 97% of players does not make an impact on whether or not they're going to make the team. And it's an interesting question about a check swing appeal versus an ABS appeal, the robot electronic strike zone. I think the catcher would have to appeal the pitch first and then the swing, because they want those ABS challenges to be automatic, to be immediate, within 2 seconds. So I'm going to go with pitch first, then swing, and they can always appeal the swing while in the 5 seconds or 10 seconds that they're waiting for the result of the pitch to show on the screen. I have to say I really love the challenge system. I've talked about it before, or at least I love the robot umpire, the electronic strike zone. I hate the challenge system. I think they should just get every single call right, however they can. But I love the fact that it's creeping into the game. I think this is a real improvement. Thank you, Theo. Thank you, everybody. And again, thank you for everyone who wrote with their condolences and their kind wishes on the loss of my uncle. It does mean so very much to me. That's going to do it for this episode, our first live from spring training. I'll be down here for a little over a week, so we'll do another one from here, and we'll bank plenty of audio that we can use between now and the opening day extravaganza. The Blue Jays open the season March 27th against the Athletics at Rogers Center. An opening day pitcher has not been named yet, but I would say there's about a 98% chance it's going to be Kevin Gausman. Thank you so much to all my guests, all the Jimenezes, Andres, Leo, and Eloy. Thank you to the best production crew in the business back home, executive producer JP Fozo, our sound engineer Sean Patton and Crawford Blair. Nicole McIntyre is the editor-in-chief of the Toronto Star. Please find my work at thestar.com in the newspaper. And if you leave a comment on my columns, and I'm writing a column every day and a spring training notebook every day, I'll be in there to answer those as well. And of course, keep those cards and letters coming to Deep Left Field at thestar.ca. But whether you do that or not, whether it's your first time listening or your 334th or anywhere in between, the biggest thank you goes to you, the listener. Wouldn't be able to do this without you, and I appreciate having you around so very much. This program can be heard at least every Thursday afternoon, and more often when Blue Jays news merits. My name is Mike Wilner. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time right here in Deep Left Field.